Welcome back to the Ride and Inspire broadcast. In my last episode, I talked about what skills training does for your body. And today, we're talking about what most riders and even coaches underestimate, what it does to your brain. Because this is actually where life starts to change beyond the trail. In my last episode, as I said, I shared the 5 surprising benefits of skills training for your body. And now let's jump into the first surprising benefit of skills training for the mind. That is less fear and stress overall. Fear on bike is not really about personality. Fear is not something you're born with. It's actually about your prediction mechanism. Because if your brain cannot predict what's going to happen, it increases tension, it increases stress hormones, and it reduces control that usually you don't have anyway, because when you lose control, you start to feel fear. When you start to feel fear, you lose control even more, and it's that vicious cycle. So now flip that. When your skills improve, your brain feels safer. That automatically, as you increase control, reduces fear, lowers stress, and that relaxes the body, so also increases control, and that's the positive cycle. You don't need mindset tricks for that. All you need is more control, and that is about skills training. Benefit number 2 is motivation through real progress. So motivation doesn't come from big breakthroughs. It usually comes from visible progress because that's how your brain works. Your brain releases dopamine when it gets a sign that progress is visible. Small, little progress steps release dopamine, and that releases the call to action in your brain, which we sense as motivation. So random riding sometimes feels frustrating because progress feels unclear. But structured training, especially if it's designed for adults with micro step, creates small wins, clear feedback, and measurable improvement. And suddenly motivation basically takes care of itself because you can see the progress. If you want to join a structured program for that, then join my Skill Up program. It's a once-a-year live cohort. You can find the link below this episode. Benefit number 3 is better focus and attention, because skills training activates multiple brain areas at once. So you're training attention, focus, reaction speed, decision making, and this transfers directly into everyday life. Many riders I work with notice they get better focus at work. They can think clearer. Brain fog disappears, especially during menopause. And they have less mental fatigue. And all of that is because they train their attention in specific skills training sessions. Benefit number 4 is that it's a mental reset and actually also stress regulation. Riding and practicing with intention is one of the strongest stress regulators we have, because you combine movement, you combine nature, you combine focus, and that leads to lower stress levels, release of endorphins, and nervous system regulation, and that is a biggie. So for many riders, especially many of the riders who work with me with ADHD, PTSD, or depression, it actually becomes their most reliable mental reset and part of their therapy. Benefit number 5 is stronger self-confidence and self-efficacy. And this is actually a really big one, because at some point with skills training, if it's designed consciously, you realize, wow, I can learn this. And I know that I did this. So you learn to link your own actions to your success. And that is huge because it's not random anymore. And it's not just about riding. You actually develop a belief that what you do matters and that what you do is directly linked to success. And that belief also transfers to work, to health, to life decisions. And especially for riders who start later or come back after a break, this changes everything because they develop a huge level of self-confidence linked to their own actions, which is self-efficacy. And that, or is it efficacy? I think it's efficacy. And that is huge because it's really the groundwork for true confidence and also self-acceptance, because yes, we start to notice that our actions lead to success and that failure is part of the process. We start to accept failure as a regular part or as a normal and required part of success. And then we start to get into a positive, self-reinforcing loop, which feeds confidence way beyond mountain biking. So when I say skills training is not just about riding better, I actually mean it. It's brain training, it's confidence training, and it's long-term health training for longevity and a really large and long health span. And this is exactly why I designed the Skill Up Challenge, because most riders, they ride more, they watch tutorials, and they hope things improve, but they never build a system underneath. And in Skill Up, we train exactly that. We train technique, coordination, strength, mobility, mental fitness, step by step. So your skills don't just show up when it's easy, they actually show up when it matters. You'll find everything below. We start on April the 18th, and I'd love to see you there. Thanks for sticking with me until the end. That's all I have for you today. Have a lovely day, morning, or evening. Goodbye, I'm Roxy.